starts, we will keep on going, and we are now recording. So before we go any farther, I wanted to raise the option of having a spin-off group. We have some folks that have signed up for the group, but they're on the West Coast, and God bless you for getting up at 5 a.m. to join a call about identity and access management. But I thought we might be able to get more people able to participate if we had a second spin-off group that met perhaps at a later time or on different days. In order for that to happen, we would want to have somebody willing to lead the group. You're welcome to use the study plan that's already going to be created. There's already going to be a general presentation schedule created. Your main job would be, number one, to run the meetings every however often you chose, and number two, to assign presenters for those meetings. So I'm also going to post a note in the architect community to see if we have any takers, but if you are not on the East Coast, or if this time is just too early for you and you would like to consider a later time, please let me know. Again, we're looking for somebody that would lead the group, because I am not going to lead two separate groups. But I am happy to keep doing the prep work and kind of create that guided study plan and guided discussion plan for you if you want to take that on. And with that, we're going to jump right into the presentations. So here are the presenters. I know we have at least some of them on the call here. John, you're on. Madhavi is on. Harish is not on, but Winnie is on. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing, or, well, let me know if you want me to stop sharing or if you're just going to be talking about concepts, and we will proceed from there. So John Daniel, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out how I can share. So let me see. Is it possible for me to share?
It should be. Yeah, let me stop sharing. And perhaps then you will have the option. Stop presenting. And it's always those. So over on the bottom right on my screen, I have a line that says present now. Yep.
There you go. Your entire screen. There we go. And voila. And top of this. Alrighty. Let's get let's get back to.
I do the same thing.
There you go.
Which slide am I on?
There you go. Now this is quick and dirty. The topic that I have to present on real quick is the what is two-factor authentication. And I'll make a disclaimer that I'm talking about two-factor authentication. I'm not going to necessarily vouch for my spelling, so we'll just leave that there. So, but anyway, two-factor authentication is basically your other password. And so basically what it is it's known as two-factor authentication. It's also referred to as multi-factor authentication. And it provides basically just an extra level of security when you're trying to access your online accounts. It is some other credential that you provide when you're authenticating to a system or a service or whatnot. Some other credential that you provide in addition to your normal password. They have the two-factor authentication has been around for several years now, and it comes in various categories. It generally is either something that you know, and of course that's all about secret questions. What's your mother's uncle's maiden name or whatever. It's just, whatever the crazy thing is. What kind of dog did you have when you're growing up? What's your favorite movie? That's usually one of these. It's something that you have. It's either a smartphone or a hardware token or something like that. We talked about in the real old days. If you're as old as I am, you go back and you remember the key fobs, and then it could be something that you are, and this is all about your fingerprint scanning on your iPhone or an iris scanning now, and so some sort of biometric pattern. And so usually two-factor authentication is one of those three types of categories. There are several common types of 2FA or thing, and so we're talking about hardware tokens. And so, as I said earlier, these are like the old fobs. They had, they used to have these little keychain things, and they would rotate numbers every 30 seconds. They would come up with a different number every time, and they would also have sometimes USB ports that are, or excuse me, USB sticks that would you would stick into a computer, and that would be the second form of authentication, and it had some sort of encrypted password or token there. They is common today and prevalent today, mostly because just simply the management and hardware or the cost of getting this type of hardware in position was kind of prohibitive. So, and the other type of 2FA is SMS text messaging, voice-based activation. So what that usually is usually a one-time passcode, so OTP. You'll definitely see that acronym, OTP. And so you will, in this sequence, you would usually like enter your username and password, and then say, "Hang on, I'm going to send you a text message with some 6-digit code." And you get that. You look at your phone, you got your text message, and you just key that in, and then that way they are assured that it's actually you and not somebody who just has your username and password that's authenticated. What is more prevalent today are software tokens. It is usually some sort of software generated one-time passcode. Again, there's another acronym right there, TOTP. I can guarantee you will see that on the identity management exam. And it is a time-based one-time passcode. And again, it's basically the same type of thing as the old fobs, in that they keep, or at least the fobs that had the TOPPs, and that it just keeps giving a different number every 30 seconds or every 2 minutes or something like that. And no, we don't want Evernote to, okay, we don't care about Evernote upgrading while I'm giving a presentation now. Awesome. So, and let's get back into this. So an example of the software token is, if you're familiar with the iPhone or the Android apps, the Google Authenticator app. It's very simple, easy to use. You basically set it up when you're setting up your two-factor authentication with an account, and you end up having a series of codes that keeps getting generated based on what time it is and under some sort of certain algorithm. Another type of two-factor authentication is all about push notifications, and so in this case, you'll log into with your username or password, and then it says, okay, similar in a text message way, but this basically just sends a push notification to some sort of authentication app to your phone. And then you get to say, well, there's an authentication attempt from this computer right now onto this application. Do you want to take it or not? And it's very simple to use. It's not necessarily, it relies on the fact that you own a device, and but it doesn't necessarily rely on a specific password. It doesn't have any codes. It just basically says, hey, I'm notifying you that somebody's logging in to your credentials. Are you okay with it? Salesforce has this type of app. It's called the Salesforce Authenticator app. You can get it on iOS, on the Apple and Android devices. And again, it's kind of a nifty little tool, and definitely worth checking out. And the other common type, again, is biometric. So if you've got some of the more recent iPhones, you can access your thumbprint, access with your facial recognition, and it just becomes, again, some other way to authenticate beyond just your username and password. So Salesforce typically provide two different types of 2FA. The first one is what they call service-based, and that basically, everybody here is probably authenticated to an org, and the first time, especially the first time you authenticate to the org, it detects that it hasn't seen that browser before, and what happens is that it will send you a quick email. And so typically what that happens is you'll log in username and password, and it'll send you a quick email, and you just click the link, and the link basically is the second form of authentication. And that sort of locks in the device, or activates the device, as it were. And Salesforce knows that, all right, I can rest assured that if you're coming from this device, then it's reasonable that it is indeed you. There are also policy-based types of two-factor authentication. Again, this is all about, when you can set it up at the account level so that every time you log in, you can force some other type of two-factor authentication, like the Google Authenticator app or the Salesforce Authenticator app that we spoke about earlier. So, but that's pretty much it when you're talking about the concepts of two-factor authentication and multi-factor authentication. So that's all I've got.
All right. Any questions from the group? Remember to unmute if you're going to ask a question. Yeah, so if you have a Google account, you've probably seen it where I know I get a message on my phone that says, hey, somebody's trying to log in with Google. Is it you? And you have to actually tap the accept button to do that.
I mean, Facebook is getting big about it now as well. Twitter is getting big about it. Most of the prevalent services out there will allow you to set up some sort of two-factor authentication. Actually, I'm checking my... you've got other types of things like Ping Identity and DigiPass, which are other ways, other apps that support two-factor authentication. Microsoft is doing it. Evernote does it. Dropbox, LastPass, Okta. I've got right now Amazon, Heroku. Slack is big into it. And yeah, it just goes on and on.
Yeah. So a public service announcement, if you use anything that handles your money, such as PayPal, I really encourage you to set up two-factor authentication. So if your account gets hacked, there's a good chance they're not going to be able to get in because PayPal will send you a text message that says, hey, here's an extra code to log in. So protect yourself in the digital age.
Yes, and a quick funny story. At my company, we've got two-factor authentication logged in right now, and the CEO and the CFO, their accounts have been continually attempted to be hacked over the past 4 weeks, and we've been kind of laughing about it because it's basically a straight-out brute force username and password hack, and the CEO comes to me and is like, "What if they actually guess my password?" And I was like, "Well, then you'll get a notification saying, did you log in?" And they have the second form of authentication, the two-factor authentication. So it's kind of amusing.
Yeah. So secure yourself. Jeff, it looks you're unmuted. Did you have something to add?
Well, I was just going to say, we put in a special form of two-factor on one of our service orgs. The standard Salesforce, authenticates your device and says you're done. And our security said we needed more than that, but didn't want to go through all the issue with, we have RSA tokens as well, but to hook that up. So we actually built a flow that generates a code, then add that to a login flow and send them an email. So really the person doesn't have to have anything extra other than their phone their email that we sent them a generated code, but all within Salesforce doing the two-factor.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. We're going to deal with login flows very soon.
There you go.
So we'll be able to demo that. All right, John, thank you very much. You've set a high standard for everybody to follow. Nice work. Okay, Madhavi, if I've pronounced that wrong, then please come on and supposed to pronounce your name and then tell us about do a show and tell. And John, if you can stop presenting.
I'm trying to figure that out now.
Same place yep, there you go.
Hi, Natalya. Yeah, that's correct. You pronounced my name right. Thank you. Thanks, John. Now you set the expectations. I need to be careful. Yeah, I was preparing the slides yesterday night after my work, and then I just had basic, simple slides. From next week, I'll try to raise my bar.
Right. And again, if you're doing show and tell, and if you'd rather just go into a Salesforce org and show the click path right in the org, you're welcome to do that.
I'm figuring out to share my screen here.
Yeah, it's on the bottom right of your Google Hangouts browser tab. It'll say Present Now. And then when you're done presenting, you go to that same spot to stop presenting.
Okay. And then do I need to... I'm trying to figure out how do I share a specific application here.
When you click, click Present Now, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to present an application or your entire desktop?
Application.
Looks like you got it. It's coming.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, it says you're presenting to everyone right now. That's the part you're sharing. Do you have a different tab open?
I have my PowerPoint slide open, and
Okay.
you know what? I think I can just.
I think you might have shared your browser instead of your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Let me stop sharing. How do we stop sharing here?
Same location where you started sharing, over in the bottom right.
Sorry for the.
Oh no, it's fine. You'll be a lot faster the next time. It's always tough being the first presenter in a group because you don't know like what's the expectation, and you get to fumble around, and everybody else gets to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
There you go.
So, can we have a study group on using Google?
Yeah, there you go. Not a bad idea. I should do that for future kickoff sessions.
Okay. So thanks, John, for the information on two-factor authentication. So now we'll go to this Salesforce org. I have my test org up, and then in there we'll go ahead and set up a two-factor authentication, and then use the Salesforce Authenticator app to verify the user's login. So in the interest of time, I have already installed a Salesforce Authentication app on my iPhone. That's the prerequisite for this one, but I'm not sure, Natalya, how I share my phone. I had difficulty sharing my
Yeah,
system.
you might just need to open up your video feed for that and hold it up to your camera or something.
My camera, I'm in West Coast, 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh! So. Turn your camera toward the wall.
I'll try to figure that out. Okay,
yeah.
so
or we'll just press the I believe button.
Okay, and then I use the Trailhead module to set up this one. My organization does not have the two-factor authentication. We just have the standard Salesforce one that John was showing. So I just learned something new thanks to the study group. So first step is like on the, before I did this one on the setups, maybe let me show my Salesforce screen. Cannot share multiple screens.
If you're sharing a screen, I would just drag an app from one screen over to another screen if you're on a two-screen system. Or just close down anything you don't want us to see and share your entire desktop.
Yeah, maybe for now I'll close down everything and then share my desktop so that I don't waste everyone's time. Yeah. Okay, you should be seeing my, so this is my test org. So I use this shape Trailhead link to prepare and then yesterday set up the test factor authentication. And this video over here, I encourage everyone to go ahead and then view this one. This is really quick and helpful because for myself, I haven't set up at my org, at my work. So this was very helpful. And then one setup I enabled here from the settings. Settings. So this one was already enabled in the test org. We go to the quick find and then go to session settings. Here you can see the two-factor authentication is already enabled. Just make sure this is on. Yeah, on the security level settings, you need to make sure the two-factor authentication is on the high assurance side. If this setup is not there, just move it from left to right and then save your screen. That's step number one. And then after that, for testing this, I just created a test account in my org, and then I wanted to assign the two-factor authentication. And basically, you need to create a permission set for this two-factor authentication, and then assign that permission set to this user, and then log in as that user. So what I did, I already had a test org where I was preparing the trailhead, and I chose this user who was an APAC user, and then everything was in Japanese. So yesterday night,
and then you learned how to change user profiles.
Yeah, and then I changed the language in the profile to English, but then unfortunately on the mobile app it was still showing in Japanese, and then it messed up my preparation time yesterday. Oh, no. But then I went ahead and I created another user in the test arc. But as you know, the test arc will have only limited licenses, so I had to deactivate this Japanese user and then create one other new user. Let me go to that user and just users. If you see here, this is my test arc. So I just created Tom and Jerry here. So, and then I set up this user Tom to my user account, and then I verified the access login and everything. So that's the predefined action. I hope everyone knows how to do that, and then we are not going to those details. But then going on to the next step. So I logged in as I didn't have time to change my slides, but then I logged in as this test user and then reset my password and then kept it there. And then once the user account is ready for whom we'll be testing, the next step is to go and create a permission set. So I have created the permission set and then it's ready, but we can just quickly go to Salesforce org and look at that permission set. Or maybe we can create a new permission set, but I have only 15 minutes, so I'll just go through the permission set that I have already created.
That's fine. Yeah, and if you're on show and tell in upcoming sessions, feel free to set this stuff up ahead of time, and then we'll just go and look at the details of it during presentations. So that's a good way to do it. Good use of time.
Where did my permission set go?
It's probably farther in the list. Looks like you're. It says there's 5 in the list.
I can go to this user and the user will already have that permission set. So as I have already prepared the permission set data and then assigned this to this user, you see it here. So let me open this in a new window. So this is the permission set, and then I took some screenshots when I created the permission set. So from the user setup, you enter the permission set and then click new permission set, and then you select, once you save the permission set, you click edit button next to it, the standard way of creating permission sets, and then you select the two-factor authentication. You select the two-factor authentication for user interface logins. That will basically enable the two-factor authentication, and then after that, you go and then assign it to the users. Once you click on the manage assignments here, you can assign it to any user that you want. So these are the 2 users I have added. And then the two-factor authentication will be available. This is testing, so I just assigned to 2 test users in my org. So on the retail page, and this is manage assignments, and then you use you assign. This is the screen where you go there, and then initially I don't have any users assigned to this permission set. I click on add assignments and then add all the users whom I need to enable this second level of login. Then once I have this, then I need to go back to my phone, and then I downloaded the Salesforce Authenticator. The way the two-factor authentication for Salesforce works is like, this is where maybe I was not clear. Someone who already has 2FA in their orgs may chime in to provide more details here. But then how I have, from the trailhead details, what I found is like first time when you download an app, it gives you this phrase, the random phrase that Salesforce gives you, and then you use that phrase to log into your Authenticator app. And then this is only the one-time thing. And after that, when you try to log into the org, it'll just send a push notification. So one other thing, at the time of installation, I enabled push notifications for the Authenticator app. So whenever the user Tom goes and then logs in, the first step will be his user ID and password. And then the next step will be Tom will be getting, or in this case, I will be getting a push notification on my phone asking like someone is trying to connect, and then I have 2 buttons in the bottom there, whether to let them connect, or I can also deny it. And then there are other multiple ways of using the authentication. Like you can make your location settings on, and then you can remember the location. So if someone is logging from the same location, you don't even need to go to your phone each time and then tap on connect. So the system automatically connects if you are if you want to do it, and then some more details on the trailhead module. But now on the org we have this user. So what I will do, I will log out of the username. Let me copy the username here. Log out of myself.
So is this what used to be called Lightning Login, or maybe it's still called Lightning Login? Or is this something different?
This is not Lightning Login again, because I just used it in Classic only. But this
Right.
this does work in Lightning also. That's what I.
Okay. Yeah, it was horribly named because they call it Lightning Login, but it works with Classic. So yeah, it's exactly what you said. They log in and you get a notice on your phone. And it says, do you want to approve access for this user?
Yeah, Lightning Login doesn't require a password. It just leverages your phone and the name.
Although I've seen it sometimes where even with that, I have to put in a password and then I get the Lightning Login push. So it's very inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so this used to be called Lightning Login. Maybe they changed the name of it. So
okay,
maybe they got smart and realized that it's a different name. But yeah, there's what the phone's going to look like.
Yeah. So now I try to log into Tom, and then it said like check your mobile, and then I got a new push notification. I think my phone just beeped. So it is. How do I just heard the beep, but then maybe I need to tap the app. Yeah, so I got a, how do I show this on my mobile? Let me take a picture and then send it to my mail and then show it here. I don't want to switch on my camera.
Don't wait too long, otherwise this is going to time out. I would say just tap the approve button, and so you can show the big green check mark on the screen.
Okay.
Because I've had this
I
time
approved,
out.
Yeah, I approved on my mobile, and then you see it has accepted here. So what is this screen?
Yeah, I would say
enroll in Lightning.
Yeah, okay, so they are still calling it Lightning Login.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Temporarily unavailable, but yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, but then once I approved, I was able to log in as Tom. I just want to share, maybe otherwise I can show the screen on the trailhead, how it looks like when you get a notification.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I try to log in as Tom, and they're here, and then when I click OK, so this is the this is first time when I'm doing with the two phrase the phrase set that I get, and then I connect it. But the second time when you log in, this is the screen I see on my phone. So it said like user Tom was trying to log into Salesforce, and then I have a notification saying whether I can let him connect or cancel. So I just, when I click connect, it let me connect as Tom here.
And those labels might have changed. I swear mine says approve and deny now. I could be wrong.
Yeah, approve and deny. Mine is also approve and deny. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a screenshot of that my mobile, what I got, and then I'll attach it in the last slide and then upload it in the
perfect
share docs. That's all. I have any questions?
Well, I have a question. So the high session security, and I think we might be getting into this later. I don't remember. And John, feel free to chime in on this too. I thought there was some way to say that certain parts of Salesforce are only accessible if you do a two-factor login versus not doing a two-factor login. I don't know if you came across that, either you or John. And if not,
you're right. There is, and I'm trying to remember where it is. So something like high or
setting up connected apps. They have that for high security. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but there's a click on there that you ensure that it's high security on a connected app.
Okay, so that's group homework for everyone, is figure out where you can use two-factor authentication to double secure parts of your org. I've seen it done for like access to reports, or if you're going to download a report, you have to do high session security. So.
Oh, okay.
So add that to your reading list, folks. Madhavi, thank you very much. Harish, have you joined? Harish has not joined. Okay, Winnie, so you are on deck then for show and tell of my domain.
Hey guys, I apologize in advance. I'm a little sick.
Oh no, and you still joined. Wow.
It was
like
really...
a warrior award or something.
And I'm in the West Coast, so yeah, it was definitely tough. And I apologize. I also do not have slides. So as soon as she posted up her slides, I'm like, well, this is awkward. I don't have any.
And again, I don't expect, if you're doing show and tell, I don't expect to see slides because you're going to be in a Salesforce org. You're going to be showing us where you're clicking around. So either way, if you want to do slides, do slides. If you just want to click on the org when it's show and tell day, do that.
Perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I actually broke a Trailhead org of mine doing this.
Oh, whoa.
I can't get it back. I don't know exactly what happened.
Yikes.
So yeah, and I'll show you guys what happened, and you guys let me know if anyone knows how I can get it back. But so from the home page, you're going to go to your setup, and you're going to look for domain, and it's going to be under my domain. And setting up your my domain is pretty straightforward. Honestly, I thought my company was paying for it this whole time. I did not realize it was free, but that's great. So here's kind of where you'll go to set up. Everything's straightforward. The policy is straightforward. So here's where you go to my domain settings, and you have a couple options. So here you can type in whatever your custom domain that you'd like your org to be, and you can check for the availability. Here's where I don't understand what happened. I put Winnie the Pooh. It said it was available. I clicked save, and it knocked me out of my org, and now I can't get into it. It says 40401 error, and the trailhead doesn't pop up.
The thing is that with Trailhead accounts, you should not change your my domain because that is super tied with your Trailhead profile and challenges and all that stuff. So it's not very, it's not a good practice to change them. In reality, you would do that in a development environment instead of the Trailhead. So if you go ahead and change it again, then you'll lose this org as well.
Oh, I've been doing it on this one, so this one's okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you. So that makes sense, but it's weird because the Trailhead tells you to do it. So I don't know that part, but that's okay. So you'll be able to check availability. This is available. So the different options that you can take is login policies. The first one is to prevent users from logging in with just the basic login.salesforce.com. And I personally think that if you're going to go through the effort of creating my domain, that it's probably makes sense to check that. Is one option. You can decide 3 other options that help your users to kind of adopt your new domain. So the first one is if they do decide to log in with the standard login.salesforce.com, you can have them redirect to your subdomain, a redirect warning to tell them to go to your right domain, and then don't redirect at all, which will just give them the error. This is the one that my company personally has. And I remember when I first started getting Salesforce, I'd constantly have to ask someone to reset my password. And I would only be able to get in with the email that they sent me. And then afterwards, I couldn't understand why I couldn't get in. And it's because I was never at the accurate domain. So and then they do recommend that you do this after hours because it stops your domain for a bit. And I hope it doesn't break one call. Okay, perfect. So it'll say that it's done. Because we're in a Trailhead, it goes automatically to that it's already deployed. But what you should get from Salesforce is an email like this that tells you to confirm that you've changed your domain as an admin. So once you click that, it'll confirm your domain change.
Winnie, if you had your email up, we didn't see it. It might be you're just sharing your browser.
Oh, and it's possible. Hang on. Okay, how about now?
It's coming. Yeah, it looks something with a very long, scary link.
That is not the one. Sorry. This is the one. Okay, so you'll get an email like this that just tells you that your domain's ready and that you can deploy it after. But because I'm in a Trailhead, it's already deployed. So once you get that email, you'll be actually at step 3, where you'll say, okay, deploy the domain to all users, and then it'll take you to step 4, which is where we're setting up these items here. And so you can set up. So you can set up additional configurations for your domain. You can do a logo, set up the background color. And up until this trailhead, I also didn't notice this, and I'm sure everyone else probably has. I never look at the right side of the screen. I don't know if anyone else does, but I never look at it. I just simply log in. So I don't know how much benefit it provides if you don't have this, but. So you can choose an icon for when you first log in. And you can set the background color, which is this section back here. And for purposes of this, I'll follow the trailhead and do black. There's 2 additional options that you can set for users, which is primarily when they're using the Salesforce One app, is whether or not when the authentication comes through, which is kind of what we just went over about the numbers to your text, the usual, it asks you to enter a 5-digit code and you're logging in, is to navigate them to to the browser to do that. I don't know what it looks like if you don't click this. I was trying to do that, but I couldn't get it. So if anyone knows about if these aren't clicked, how it looks on your Salesforce One app, feel free to stop me and let us know. And then this is where you can decide what the picture is on the right-hand side. And let me take Salesforce's link. So you can decide whatever you want to appear. So for a company, I think it'd be really good to have like company messages pop up there, so that you can like announce to everyone that uses Salesforce religiously, and they'll see that every time they log in. And then the authentication service is the trailhead page, the normal login page. We'll click save. Sorry. So to show you the change that was made, so if I log out, you can see that here's the black background. Here's the little icon that I made as our login page, and this is the right-hand side photo that you can select.
And that was a URL. So could I put like the Google page on the right-hand bar so that I could like get to Google right from there?
Good question. I did not test that. I think it actually only said images. So
okay.
Go back and figure out how to log in.
It said URL, which is deceiving because you think URL, you think website, but
I think it actually is like the URL of like a picture, like a hosted picture.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But we can definitely try that. I only did Happy Path. So. So it saves, and it does work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So it's got to be a picture.
Yeah. And that's it for me. Super
okay. Actually, can you go back into setup? Go to that My Domain
Sure.
page. I saw another option down low, and I think we'll get to it later, but I want to ask about it now too. And you had a section on authentication settings.
Here?
Yep, right there. So you have another checkbox there, and I'm pretty sure that's some custom thing you created.
Huh.
It is.
Okay, so I thought it might have come with the trailhead, so I didn't question it.
Yeah, it came with the trailhead, and so when you're setting up various authentication services, those options show up at this point.
Okay. So that's a.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, and that's something I was going to bring up here when you indicated before to click that they cannot log in through the login.salesforce once you set up My Domain. If you're using single sign-on, and this is where you would decide whether you get the login page or single sign-on, if you click that button, then if your single sign-in is down, nobody can get into your org. So we actually keep the ability to log in through login so that admins can always get in regardless of whether your single sign-on is up, and then force the rest of the people through the single sign-on. It's just something to keep of note.
So Winnie, can you check that box and save and then log out, and let's see how the login screen looks different.
We're
all going to get a chance to do this later. Well, when you start playing with single sign-on, you're going to be doing this anyway, but this is kind of a preview of what's to come. So you should see a new login option now.
There you go.
Look down here.
So when you start setting up single sign-on options, that's where you'll be able to pick what sign-on options are available on the login screen.
See what happens when I click it.
Oh, this must be the thing that when you're in Trailhead and you say go to my org, it lets you go in without a password.
Most likely, but now I can't get in.
Okay, so yeah, just use your regular login screen then. We're just gonna break your org left and right.
I was like, well, this is just another one that'll break. That's okay. They're free. They can keep being created. Okay.
Yeah.
And look, it resets everything because it's a Trailhead.
Nice.
Now my icons are gone, and the URL is gone.
Wow. That's very cool.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what happened to my other one because obviously everything else reset okay and didn't break anything. But well, I'll never get that other one back.
Well, if you go into Trailhead and you go into Manage Playgrounds, is it still in your playground
list?
It's
still there. But when I click it, it gives me a 404 error.
That's odd.
And when I had originally set it up, it also had said that I was like in an infinite loop. So I'm not quite sure. I must have broke it with the domain I chose, but it was available. So,
but you got an email saying the domain was ready. That
was a different one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
What I was saying when I was changing some of the domains is that the URL that you think you're at is actually not the correct URL, which is, so if you changed your domain name and the URL still had the original one, that doesn't exist anymore. So pay attention to what's in your URL and perhaps you can get back to the correct place. Things like I saw you're using LastPass. LastPass remembers your URLs when you logged in. So if you're using that to get in, make sure that gets updated to the correct new domain name as well.
Oh yeah, but it was like right after I clicked save that it said that I was like in an infinite loop and it blocked me. And I don't know. It's different because it's Trailhead. I'll have to try with a real developer org and then see what happens. But thank you.
And try also, all right, if you're in an infinite loop, go out, open up a browser in an incognito mode. So you basically get out of this particular session and session tokens. And then you should be able to authenticate without going through the infinite loop. I think I know exactly where you're heading. I ran into that as well. Getting out into that allows you to do that. And then the way to do it in the normal browser is to blow away all the cache and session tokens and all that jazz.
Okay, I'll have to try that.
Yeah, try that.
But this is essentially what I get when I click my other domain or my other Trailhead that I broke.
Awesome.
Trail not found. That's weird.
Yeah. So I'll click. I'll show you guys. So others don't feel my pain.
Yeah.
So you click launch, and then this is what I get. And I didn't do anything else other than change this section here.
Right.
And now it's invalid. But I changed, this domain. I checked if it was available. It said yes. I clicked save, and then it told me, and then it took me to another page that said I'm in an infinite loop, can't redirect. And then when I tried to reset myself, this is where I got. And I can't reset my password for it, even log back in, because I don't think I set up a security question, so that doesn't exist either in Trailhead. So that's okay. We can create many, but everyone knows.
Yeah. Well, that's a good word of warning for the rest of us. So we'll all benefit from your pain.
Yes, I'm broken. So no one use your Trailhead if you're concerned with any data that's already in your Trailhead.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Winnie. Thank you very much for that. And if you can stop presenting, I will present the slide deck again. Okay. So for the next session, which is going to be Monday, again, reminder, this coming Friday, we are not going to meet. Enjoy your Thanksgiving break. But we are going to meet on Monday and Wednesday morning. So before Monday, here's the 3 links to look at. In session security, I think that's where we're going to get into the high security sessions and where 2-factor authentication comes in to play. Identity and external identity licenses. This is a quick section. It's basically just what kind of licenses are available for authentication. And then identity providers versus service providers. This is going to become important when we start really deep diving into single sign-on. So this is just kind of a quick first look at what's out there. If you want to read ahead, you are welcome to always look at the schedule that is in Google Sheets. You all should have a link that was sent to you by email. And so look at the study plan. This is what's coming if you want to get ahead of the game. And the presentation schedule is also here on a separate tab. Sheet 5 is kind of my working notes on where should we go next, because I don't like the way the trailhead's organized. So I set my own order for things. But yeah, you can always see what's coming in the study plan. And if you are thinking that you might want to be a study group leader, you can just take right out of here, copy paste into slides and tell people what's coming next and create a presentation schedule like this for what's coming next. But for now, so that's the 3 things to cover before Monday. Monday's presenters, you'll notice our Quizmaster topics are topics that we discussed today. So Monday, we're going to review what we discussed today. And Terry and Brian are going to create some killer flashcards and maybe some mock exam questions for us to make sure we really understand the concepts. And then Jeff, you're on for different kinds of licenses. What are the key ones we want to know about? Svatka is going to explain what's an identity provider, what's a service provider, and what the heck do they have to do with each other. And then Paulina and Brenda will be on concept review or show and tell for session security and show us what that all is about. Any questions, comments from the group? Again, if you're on the West Coast or if you just want a later start time and you're willing to lead a group, let me know and we can set you up with a Hangouts ID, and you can not get up at early if you're on the West Coast. Though I would hate to lose anybody from the group because you're all awesome, but I also understand that it's hard to wake up in the morning sometimes, especially at 5 a.m.
Natalya, this is Terry. I did not see the spreadsheet that you just showed that had the schedule. I don't see that one shared with.
It's just an open, it's a public link because it's read only.
Okay.
And so the email I sent to everybody after Friday's session, was it after? No, after Wednesday's session. It's got a link to that spreadsheet in it.
Great, thank you.
Okay. And I think that's all we got. Just a quick review. If you're presenting concept explanations, I kept these slides in here from the last session. These are some guiding questions you might want to consider if you're preparing a presentation on concepts. If you're doing show and tell, kind of show us the click path on how do we get there, how do we set this feature up. And then if you're the Quizmaster, you know, I would love to see both kinds of questions, but if you can only create one or the other, that's fine too. So flashcard is, you know, just quick facts. And the exam type questions is, well, you've all seen Salesforce exams. You know what they look like. And again, flashcard thought starters, just including it every time here, just so you don't have to go back through other slide decks to find them. And if nobody has any last comments, we'll give you 10 minutes of your morning back. Okay, then. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you all on Monday. You have your study plan. If you're on deck, then please get your presentations ready. And you can upload them to the slide deck folder. Let me show you where that is. So there's a session slides folder that you should have read-write access into. So just dump your slides in here. Just make sure you put the session prefix on here. So we'll be on session 3 on Monday. So just prefix your slides with that. And with that, have a great morning, everybody. I'm going to hang out until the last person drops, and you are free to go. Have a great day.
Thanks. Do the same.
Bye all.